Academy, I'll be discussing with you about the priorities for you, those who are appearing for the prelims 2021 on 10th October. The countdown has started. We have last 2 days within these 19 days. 90 days are there. We were thinking because 10th October is the slated date, the D day. Now you have to run up, not walking. It is like a marathon race. In fact, I wrote a book called Marathon Race, published by one of the publishers, and which is being studied by different students of the different areas. Today, I discuss with you about the way how to approach the prelims examination because of this pandemic and other constraints which you are having. You can't go to a coaching center. You can't go to a library to search a book. You have to depend only on your Google and the available material with you. And you can telephone your friends or coaching center mentors. First of all, my advice to you is you might have already done it, but as an elderly person with the experience of more than a decade in the field, I suggest to you the way how to go about it. Number one, study the old prelims GS paper 1 question papers from 2011 to 20. That comes to 10 years. 10 into 100, you will be having 1,000 questions bank with you. With the experience of 1,000 questions in your mind and the set of answers you have prepared, though it is ABCD marking, it is not ABCD marking. It is your future ABCD which you are going to mark. If you mark a D, which is a wrong answer, you will be failing in your duty to compete in the examination and maintain for the mains examination. So, with this 1,000 questions in mind, and with these answers which you have already prepared and the keys you have with you, you will be having a spectrum of ideas, a spectrum of variables, which the questions come in history, economy, geography, science and technology, current affairs, environment, and all other things. Public administration is a most important, vital subject which you have to be thorough with it. Then make note of number of questions appeared segment wise. As we have already discussed earlier, there are 7 segments in the prelims GS paper 1, starting from history and going up to current affairs. Out of these 7 segments, in 2011, how many history questions have come? How many economy questions have come? You just make out a tabular form and keep it in your dining hall or a table or whatever it is, which is convenient to you to study immediately. Suppose in 2011, history questions are there about 5 to 6, and in 2012, they have about only 6 to 7, and in some years, it can be 10 or so, 10 also. Normally, the questions in geography, environment, and public administration, they vary, and rest of them, they normally will be 5 to 5, 6 or so, whatever it is. So you make a note of it. Then find out, these are the 7 steps which I am telling to you, like 7 hills to Tirumala. These 7 steps, you please keep it in mind. Saptapadi they call it. Even during the marriages also, the bride and bridegroom, they go around the Havan 7 steps. So similarly, I am telling you about these 7 steps which you have to keep in mind to climb for the mains examination. Then find out whether the mindset of the examiner, what is it? How the questions are being framed, and what is the stress, and what is the thrust. Then you will be able to know, oh, this is the way how I have to study. For example, Quit India movement. You have studied and you have noted down all the points, but the way the questionnaire, the examiner has wanted to know about your pulse, it may be different. So you might have already noticed during these 10 years question papers, when you have glanced through them and when you have studied them in depth, then you will be able to find out how the examiner is thinking and what is the pulse of the examiner. In fact, the examiner wants to know your pulse, but you are about to taking an about turn, and then you are thinking, oh, this is the way the question has been framed. Then try to calculate the mindset of the examiner. because the way he gives the question and the way the question has been presented and the way the statements have been made. After the statement, there will be the question, there will be statements one, two, three, four, and then he will give one A, two B, two A and three A and B, four none. So these type of questions will be there, and the twisted question, that is you have to find out and collect the pattern of the statements. How's the pattern? For example, in one of the cases, they will add a none, and then in one of them, some do not. All these things are very intricate. In your hurry, within 20 seconds, you have to, within 120 minutes, you have to complete the 100 questions. You are in a hurry, you are running through the question paper, you are in a sweating mode, and your pulse rate has gone up. All these things come into effect when you are not in a fix, when you are thorough with the subject, and when you are sure that this answer is correct answer and there is no variation, and you need not worry about it and you need not vary. So please collect the pattern of statements, and then whether the questions were direct or indirect type of questions. This is also another important thing which you have to make. If they will not straight away ask you what is the year of Quit India movement and Gandhiji, where did he start it? All this is not the way how the prelims question papers are set. Then whether the topic was linked with the current affairs, particularly with regard to the public administration and geography. Nowadays, the questioning pattern is that they link it with the present situation, the current affairs, the current way of thinking. All these things you have to keep in mind. These 7 steps you please try to climb, and then I am sure that you will definitely make it into 25,000 people. That is mains number. Out of these 4.5 lakhs of people who are appearing for the prelims examination, you will be facing 25,000, and from there you will be moving towards 2,500, which is the number of people who are going to be interviewed for the personality test. In fact, those people who are appearing for the personality test are also worried because within 20 days their personality tests are going to be held in Dolpur House. What is Dolpur House? Dolpur House is the office of Union Public Service Commission, and there are about 10 members in the UPSC with a chairman, and the number of people who have been invited for the a personality test normally will be 10 into 10, 100 people in a day, because there are 10 members and 10 boards are there, and each day 5 people in the morning and 5 people in the evening are interviewed, and 10 into 10, 100 people will be interviewed, and it goes up to September 28th. So the final day of the interview is September 28th. Somebody telephoned me and asked, "Sir, my interview date is on 28th September, that is the last one. Whether I will have an advantage or a disadvantage, we can't say. The people who are interviewing you are not very pessimistic. They would think even at the last person also is a capable person. But psychologically thinking, since already they have gone through the mill and they have already examined about 2000 people, they have come to a conclusion that at least minimum of 1000 people are required for them, and out of them they have calculated about 1500 people, and finally when they calculate all the marks and these things, you are the last person. Unless you impress upon them very heavily, you may not be able to be judged. Coming to the point of the first person on the first day, that also happened. During the last week, one gentleman telephoned me and said, "Sir, I am in the first list. I am on the first day itself. My interview is being held. Is it an advantage or a disadvantage?" It is neither an advantage nor a disadvantage, but they think that still so many people are there. Let us give a marginal mark. They may be under the impression that a lot of claims are there and we may have to wait for some time, but you need not worry. Either it is the first day or the last day or the middle of the day, you should be very thorough with the subject and be prepared to attend this personality test, which is to judge your capabilities to your abilities, your mindset, and your way of communication. That is more important. Coming back to our current affairs, today newspapers, that is 11th of July, all the newspapers headlines are about Banda Sirisha. She is a girl from Andhra. She stays in America. Her parents are there, and she had a long dream of trying to go for the space travel, and she could win and she could succeed. That is the important thing which you have to note down. What is this? This is known as Unity 22 mission. The Virgin Galactides, the rocket powered test flight of its spaceship VSS Unity, was successful. It was very, very, very successful. And all the newspapers carried the photo of Shirisha. And in fact, that commander who has improved this space flight, he has taken her on his shoulders, and there was a lot of joy throughout the day when they returned back safely. Then the crew went on flying to the edge of the space on July 11th. On board the Unity rocket ship developed by Galatite. And this was the 22nd mission for VSS Utility. This VSS Unity, this is an institution which was created by an individual, and this was Virgin's Galatide's fourth crew space flight. It was the first to carry a full crew of 2 pilots and 4 mission specialists in the cabin. She is the first, Brenda Surisha is the fourth in the cabinet. It includes Richard Branson, founder of the Virgin Group, and he was also there. The flight was delayed by only 30 minutes due to the weather conditions. Then Sirisha Bandla, an astronaut born in India, was part of the crew. She is the third woman of Indian origin to go to the space after Kalpana Chawla and Sunita Williams. Long back, Rakesh Sharma is another Indian who went into the space prior to Bandla. When Rakesh Sharma landed at the space and moon, Indira Gandhi was interacting with him, and she asked him a question: "How is India from the moon?" And he replied in a very informal way and said, "Mera Bharat Mahan." This was the attitude of the person who went to the space land. And then that was a moon landing thing. Then the space vehicle climbed to an altitude of around 90 kilometers, enough to give to the passengers a few minutes of weightlessness and a view of Earth's curvature from the edge of the space. When you go through this news item, the persons who are appearing for the prelims or for the interviews, please keep in mind to know about more about the New Shepard and what is the altitude of the edge of the space, because the question can be like that also. This is number one point which I wanted to discuss with you today. And then the Bengal government, the West Bengal government, passed a resolution to set up a legislative council. This is a long pending demand of Mamata Banerjee. She wanted to have a council, legislative council, and the assembly, which has formed recently, they have passed a bill to constitute a legislative council. The bill was passed with 2/3 of the majority, and the bicameral system of legislature, you have to know very well, thoroughly. There are two houses of parliament, that is Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. At states, it is known as Vidhan Sabha and Vidhana Parishad, Legislative Council and Legislative Assembly. Under Article 169 of the Constitution, the Parliament by law create or abolish the second chamber in the states. Hello? Yes. చెప్పండి. రండి.